Welcome back into Evening Plus. Thanks so much for sticking with us here tonight. So many of us are gathering with family right now. And if you're noticing some changes in some of your older relatives, potentially trouble with memory, remembering things of that sort, when is it time to seek professional help, and when is something more regular with older age? Joining us here in studio from the Dementia Institute of Grand Rapids is Kurt Gritters, Executive Director, and Rosemary Apel-Jose, a specialist there at the center. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This is a topic near and dear to my heart. Several relatives of mine have dealt with a dementia Alzheimer's diagnosis. Obviously, so many of us are gathering right now, maybe seeing family members that we haven't seen in a while. You know, it can be an uncomfortable topic to approach. It's not something we all necessarily want to talk about, but it's one that's really important. Kurt, I can start with you. Let's talk a little bit about the Institute in general and what you guys do, if you want to start us off there.
Yeah, the Dementia Institute was started in 2023, so a couple years ago, with the objective of improving dementia well-being around Michigan and beyond. And we do that largely through classes, through consultations, through dementia simulations, support groups, and so many more. But there's a lot of need right here in West Michigan, 50,000 some people living with dementia right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rosemary, you're more on the clinical side of things with what you guys do at the Institute. Say folks are sitting around the dinner table or going to a family gathering, talking about warning signs. There can be several different things that can be going on. When is something a little bit more concerning? Can you walk us through those?
Yeah, so I think it's always important to differentiate between kind of typical aging and atypical aging. Yeah. As we get older, typical aging, we do sometimes forget names or forget words, specifically nouns. That's kind of what, we start with. When it starts getting concerning is if eventually that individual cannot land on the word. So for instance, I may have difficulty coming up with the name of that restaurant I went to last week. And oh, that's right, it was this restaurant. And when we start going into what we call atypical aging, that's often when the person cannot land on the word, or sometimes is making up words.
Gotcha. Yeah, so one thing to struggle getting to that word,
Exactly.
Which could just be, typical aging, but, not ever being able to get there. As far as other warning signs, what are some other things that can come up?
Yeah, so certainly having issues with sometimes missing words. In other words, early on in the disease, people can miss, in terms of comprehension, 1 out of every 4 words. So if you're having maybe just kind of a routine, typical conversation with your loved one, and you're noticing that they're struggling to comprehend, or maybe they're just catching parts of the words. So they're really misconstruing
meaning of what they're trying to say.
Exactly. That can be a warning sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes we'll start to see maybe some issues. Memory's always a big thing. People tend to think it's just memory. But judgment, maybe being some questionable decisions like, oh, you decided to, just, wear a spring coat today when, it's going to be 20 degrees outside. So you start to notice some issues with decision making and logic.
Yeah, no, I think those are great to point out in the differentiation between the two. Kurt, if folks are hearing about the Dementia Institute for the first time and maybe are at that point where they're looking for some professional help here in West Michigan, what does that look like in taking advantage of the resources that you guys have?
Yeah, thanks, Julia. We'd recommend starting with a consultation just to help figure out kind of where we're at now and what the future might look like. Rosemary and several other people on our team are highly specialized and certified in doing that and can spend an hour with you and your family talking about where we're at today and what the future might look like. Beyond consultations, though, classes can often be helpful. The simulation to kind of walk in the shoes of somebody else who has dementia can be a pretty powerful moment for a family member or friend, too. So coming to our website to register from there, giving us a call can be a good way to start. But we're right here in Grand Rapids, but for those who are elsewhere, we have virtual offerings too. So the sibling who lives in Arizona or in Washington can join in.
Absolutely. Guys, I so appreciate you being here and talking about this. It can be difficult to take that first step and give a center like yours a call, but ultimately it's so important to be taking advantage of services like you have early, doing what you can to preserve the integrity of your loved ones. So thank you so much for coming on in and chatting with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
These folks are from the Dementia Institute of Grand Rapids. You can find much more information online. We're going to take a quick break.